In this lesson, we're going to look at factorising trinomials. Now, a trinomial is an expression with three terms in it. You've got an x squared, an x value, and a number at the end. You can also call this a quadratic expression. Later on in this course, you will find that when you actually sketch this out, like you did with the straight line, it forms a quadratic or a parabola, which is the shape you get when you throw a ball up in the air, a kind of curved shape. Now, when you're factorising trinomials, we're reversing the process of multiplying out double brackets. So we have to go backwards from the end result back into double brackets. Kind of like what you just did with the difference of two squares. So let's look at the first example here and see if we can spot any patterns. There's two examples here, this first one going into double brackets and this second one going into double brackets. Now, when you're factorising the trinomial with an x squared term at the start, you always put an x and an x at the front of your brackets to form the x squared. The numbers at the end of the brackets are factors of the last number, i.e. numbers that multiply together to make the last number. In this case, we have 2 times 1 to make the 2. These numbers also have to add together to make the middle value, and that's why some people find it tricky, because there's two processes going on at the same time and some people mix them up. But it's important to remember the last two numbers multiply together to make the end number here. Now, when you've got all pluses in your trinomial, the brackets are always going to be pluses as well. The second example over here, if you look at it, the 3 times the 2 will make the 6 at the end. 3 add the 2 makes the 5, and you're always going to have pluses there. If we turn our attention to the second example, in this one you can see there's a negative value here but a plus at the end. Now, in this scenario, you always have the same signs in your brackets to make this negative in the middle and plus at the end. And if you look at this one, we have negative 2 times negative 3 makes your plus 6, but negative 2 add negative 3 makes your negative 5 in the middle. So it's good to learn these wee things that can help you out. So in this situation, again at the end, when you've got a plus at the end and a subtract in the middle here, we end up with 2 negatives in the brackets. Negative 3 times negative 1 will make your 3, and negative 3 add negative 1 will make your negative 4 in the middle. The other two cases always have different signs in the brackets, i.e. in this one we have a subtract at the end and a plus. That gives two different signs. Again, a plus and a subtract at the end gives two different signs in the brackets. And also when you have two negatives here, negative 2x take away 15, you have a negative and a plus. And this one here, you've got negative 3x and negative 10, you have a negative and a plus. So the good ones to spot are, just to kind of regroup of what we just said, when you've got all positives, the brackets are all positives. When you have a positive at the end and a negative in the middle, then you have two negatives in your brackets. And anything else, you have different signs in your brackets, a plus and a minus. Again, it doesn't matter which way round your brackets are. For example, if you have an x plus 5 times x minus 1, or you have an x minus 1 first and an x plus 5 at the end, that's okay, it doesn't matter. So that was an introduction to this. In the next lesson we'll look at actually how to calculate the values in the brackets.